Power Up with NSA North Texas, a show about finding, hearing, and maximizing valuable insights from some of the world's leading business and lifestyle speakers. Each week, international keynote speaker and National Speakers Association North Texas chapter president Betty Coffey sits down with some of the most exciting speakers this side of the globe to hear from these subject matter experts what's making a difference in business today and learn all there is to know about people, profits, and productivity in business from some of the world's best motivators. This is Power Up with NSA North Texas. And now, here's your host, Betty Coffey.
Hi, I'm your host, Betty Coffey, president of NSA North Texas, and I want to thank you for being with us today on our NSA North Texas podcast. The NSA National Speakers Association is the premier organization for professional speakers around the globe. Every day, our members reach out as consultants, coaches, authors, trainers, educators, motivators. And we do it every day to companies just like yours. This show is going to give you the opportunity to find out what are the cutting edge topics, what are the issues, what's on businesses' mind today, what problems are they encountering, and how can they fix them? And you're going to find that out on this particular show because we have the subject matter experts to speak about these topics all the time, every day. And I'm so excited to have my guest today, Chris Price, the president of Price Leadership Group. Thank you, Chris.
Great to be here, Betty.
He's a powerhouse, guys. I mean, he is truly a powerhouse. He lives under the mantra, we make people and culture simple. Wouldn't that be nice? And he works with organizations that improve productivity, that want to improve their innovation and financial performance. He is the creator of, let me get my mouth going right here, the Propulsion System Zero, which provides organizations with a system towards moving from chaos to championship. Chris has led and coached leaders and teams across the entire world. He's been in the Americas, Russia, Asia, East and Western Europe, and Great Britain. And his experience includes 20 years, and I'm going to really see if I can get this one right, 20 years with International Lufthansa. How'd I do?
That's right. Right on, Betty.
I did it right. The Lufthansa airline group in numerous corporate mergers, culture integrations, leadership development, and business redesign efforts. He's a powerhouse, guys. He knows what he's talking about. As a talent management advisor today, Chris uses professional level solutions that help organizations improve how they hire, how they develop teams, how they coach those teams, and how they can plan for future talent needs. Since 2001, Chris has been a regular faculty member at the Global Institute for Leadership Development, that's GILD, G-I-L-D, and their event. And he is one of the top leadership development, which is one of the top leadership development events in the world. Chris is a professional member of NSA National Speakers Association. He's a past president. He's been one of my inspirations for becoming president this year and has served as a National Chapter Leadership Council member. I'm so excited. His topic today, get more propulsion. In Chris's words, making people and culture simple is all about just this. Choose the right people and engage them as partners. That's propulsion in action. If you want to take your team from chaos to champions, you need more propulsion, the unique kind of momentum created when we make people and culture simple. So enough of Betty talking. Let's get down to propulsion. So Chris, I'm so happy you're here.
Me too, Betty.
Tell me, you've got all this experience, all this knowledge, all this expertise. Why do you do what you do?
Frustration.
Right now with the show?
Yeah.
We just started.
Yeah. Betty, and I use that word for lack of thinking of a better word. We often use the word passion. I'm passionate about something, but sometimes passion can have the connotation of a hobby. and as opposed to something that I want to do to change the world. And in my experience in working with teams and organizations and leaders in all of those different countries around the world, the thing that frustrates me the most is waste. It's the squandering of resources. Now, squandering, I love that word because it's almost a criminal wasting of resources, wasting talent and money and ideas and time. It's the squandering of resources that happens when we don't properly manage people and culture. And so that squandering, that waste, it frustrates me. It means that families and teams and organizations and even countries don't achieve their potential because we waste the great resources that we have. So that frustrates me. That's what drives me to do what I do.
That's fascinating. And you're exactly right. And it's scary to hear. I'm frustrated. We're squandering away these resources, but you are right on. Yeah. You are right on. Nail on. Okay, so you talk about propulsion.
Yeah.
Great word. Now, how do you get and how do you use and how do you get more propulsion? Tell me about propulsion.
Yeah, you bet. I know you're a huge fan of the word momentum.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, your business and your life, momentum is so key to you. And that's a great word. Propulsion is a unique, special kind of momentum. We often think of momentum as something where I'm in rest or I'm moving. I have movement. And that's true. And that's absolutely accurate in so many situations. Propulsion is this special kind of momentum that's not just rest or moving. It's an amplifier. And it can be a very positive amplification or it can be a very negative destruction, a destruction of ideas and of hard work. And so it's that special kind of momentum that happens when we amplify our good ideas, when we amplify our hard work by managing people and culture the right way, by making it keep people and culture simple.
That makes so much sense. Yes, yet it's so hard. It's absolutely so hard. So many companies out there.
Yeah.
Why don't more organizations have propulsion? What's wrong?
It's fear. Fear versus love. That sounds kind of simplistic, but I believe it boils down to, do you manage from a place of fear or do you manage from a place of love? Now, the word love in many companies and organizations, both profit and not-for-profit, they're like, oh, no, love, that's not something. This is a business. We don't mean romantic type love, but it's the kind of love that says, I believe in a better future. I believe in better possibilities. I believe in the future potential of my people, and so I'm going to engage them as partners. As opposed to, I believe that our people are idiots and prisoners, and left to their own devices, they're going to ruin us. So we have to watch them and micromanage them. It's really fear versus love. And when we think about examples, so recently Southwest Airlines, the famous Herb Kelleher passed away recently.
Yes, just a few days ago.
And, Herb was probably one of the best examples in modern times that we can think of someone who led from a place of love. It doesn't mean he didn't make hard-nosed, tough decisions, but he always managed from a place of believing in a better future, believing in people. First, let's take care of our employees, because then they'll take care of our customers, and guess what? Then that will take care of our shareholders. And so, as opposed to many other examples that we see in many other organizations where it's clear, you can see by the way that they manage, they're managing from fear. They're afraid of losing. They're afraid of losing control. They're afraid of chaos, and as a result, you get chaos.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. So tell me how because everything you're saying is right on. How did you get into this type of work?
Yeah, how I got into this my original background was in finance and banking, which people say, well, how did you get over into this space and leadership development and team development? And it's because with that background, I learned very much how to measure success in organizations. But with that background, I didn't learn as much about what does it take to create that success. And so early on in my career, I got very fascinated by that. And then, like you mentioned, I had the opportunity to work in a variety of different countries as part of the Lufthansa group. You did a great job. And in much of that time, I was in the logistics division of that company, very people-intense business. We went through several situations where we were merging with other companies. And mergers and acquisitions are one of those situations where you really see people and culture issues under the magnifying glass. right? And so the things that you do right really amplify your future potential for success. And if you do the wrong things, then the opposite can happen, and you can have a destruction of what was already the great things that were there. Obviously in the news, even this week, we see, Sears, such a legendary company on the ropes, and it's just been such a sad story to see them continue toward where they are now. And in a lot of cases, people will point to things like, well, it was strategy and their ideas that got them to this place. But it was also a lot of things that they did related to people and culture. And did they engage people in that organization as partners, or did they use them more as pawns in a larger financial scheme? Now, obviously, we're not going to go too deep on that, but those are a couple of different examples that we can imagine of the difference between managing from fear versus love.
I love that. I was just thinking about that. That's all about fear and love. And when you mention companies that are going through mergers and acquisitions, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is the importance of fear, or the propensity of fear versus love, very, very important during those particular situations. That's tough.
And unfortunately, I think a lot of them are based on fear because they're big deals. And we're afraid of, oh my goodness, we're taking on all of this debt. We're afraid of losing control.
Right.
We've gotten bigger, so we've got to have a tight rein on this. Well, listen to those words. I'm afraid of it not working. We've got to have a tight rein. We've got to have great control. Well, so that ends up we treat people like idiots and prisoners versus engaging them as partners and adults.
Just by what we're saying.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what we're saying sometimes. We just say it, and it has that profound effect on people.
Right.
It's so true.
Well, it starts between our ears. It's really about beliefs.
Yes.
And so do I believe in love myself? If I do, then I'm going to lead in a way that's based on that. I'm going to engage people from a place of love. And I don't mean romantic love. I mean like as partners.
Right. Yeah. So true. So you are a talent management advisor. Tell me what that is.
Yeah, a talent management advisor. So my job is to be an advisor for my clients, to be certified in a variety of professional level assessment and development solutions so that I can help them choose the right tools for the right situation, so that they do make people and culture simple, so that they choose the right people and that they engage people as partners. Mm-hmm. And that's unique because you'll find sometimes people who may have one tool. Oh, I've got a hammer, and as a result, they come to clients and they say, show me your nails. I'll nail them down. I've got a whole toolbox of different tools that I'm certified in. And so if you've got a nail issue, we're going to use a hammer. If you've got screws, we're going to use a screwdriver. And so I help them to use the right tools for the right situation. Because if you use a hammer with nails, it's great. But if you use it over on sheet glass, not going to work. Now you got a problem.
I love that concept. I love the concept. And I love the visualization or the ideas that you just gave us. So with someone that wants to work with you, are there particular people, levels of people, positions that people are in that you work with? What type of positions, levels do you normally work with?
Yeah, it's a great question. Often we start with the senior leadership team. Sometimes that may be a sales leader. Sometimes it might be the CEO or the CFO, because the people in the senior leadership team, number one, they have to be the one who model the solutions. Mm-hmm. You can't say, okay, everybody else needs to get better, but we're already great. Great leaders go first. They're vulnerable. They admit that they're human. They admit that they themselves can get better. And when they do that, that sends messages to the rest of the organization that, hey, well, we're eating this as well. We're eating the dog food as well.
I love it.
Yeah. And so that's where it often starts. I do a lot of work with sales teams because sales teams are always focused on, we've got to get better numbers. We've got to improve how we achieve sales. And can we replicate our best salespeople? And some of the professional level tools that we use, we can replicate some of your best people by actually doing modeling of what are the characteristics that define your best salespeople, and now let's go find other ones. And let's help all the other salespeople we have, let's help them model those characteristics as well.
I love that. I'm sitting here and I'm picturing you when you're with a client. And what's coming across to me so strongly is Chris's passion for what he's doing. I don't want to say you have passionate propulsion, but at the same time, but you truly are passionate and you truly do care. And it's coming across that no matter what level a person is in an organization, you're going to care.
Yeah. Well,
you're going to want to see that improvement.
And you can tell it's a choice. And the reason why we started, I use that term frustration, because I could have the choice to let that pull me down, because we see the squandering of resources. It happens all the time in organizations. I choose to see it as an opportunity to help bring more propulsion into all kinds of organizations. Teams, organizations, even governments, even families. My focus is primarily organizations, profit and not-for-profit, but these concepts are true also for any grouping of people, any organization. They can be in a place of chaos where they're wasting a lot of their resources, or they can be champions where they use all of the resources they have.
And you love that. You love it when it works, right?
I love that.
I bet you get tremendous self-fulfillment out of that. I can see that. Yeah.
I do.
So we've talked about organizations, but tell me, what are the organizations that are best suited for your propulsion system? And also, please, since I keep saying propulsion, give me a really good idea of what your Propulsion System Zero is. What's a zero thing?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What organizations are the best, or that you think that would really help in times today? And then what is the Propulsion Zero?
Sure. Organizations that have people.
Okay.
That's number one. And so now
everybody.
That sounds kind of broad. And I'll tell you, part of my experience and part of my expertise are organizations that have a labor-intensive business. I spent a lot of time, for example, the time I was at Lufthansa, in the logistics and catering part of the business, and very labor-intensive. So it's so critical that every day we have the right people in the right spots. We've got their strengths aligned with the right roles. We're engaging them as partners, a pressure cooker, a time pressure cooker of a business. And so I have a lot of experience with that, with organizations where time matters, having the right people matters, and people doing the best work of their lives. Again, that sounds broad, but that's really where the focus for propulsion. Now, the system it's a system for how do you make people and culture simple. Now, where the word zero comes from.
Yeah, where's the zero
Yeah.
thing? That throws me.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different connotations to it, but the main one is aiming for zero squandering of resources. Let's get to a place where we're wasting absolutely as little resources as possible. We're not wasting good ideas. We're not wasting effort. We're not micromanaging people. We're engaging them as partners. They're working on some of the best work of their lives. That gives us propulsion. So propulsion is not something that you install into a company. It's really about when you remove all of that mess, all of the fear-based controlling mess, then this natural propulsion happens. So it's kind of a natural phenomenon once we stop trying to over-control based out of fear.
I love that. And that works for profit and nonprofit organizations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, I mostly work with for-profit organizations, but I work with a few not-for-profits. One of my favorites is the Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
Right.
What a great organization. I love the movement. I've had the opportunity to work with them since 2011, and so we use a variety of assessment solutions. We also do a variety of development things inside that organization, and so it's been really great.
That's great. That's wonderful. So you mentioned you are certified in all these particular tools and different types of solutions. Kind of give me an idea in our audience what some of those are.
Yeah. Well, so there's really let's talk about solutions in two categories. There's people solutions and there's culture solutions. On the people side, often those solutions are what we would call people assessments. Now, most people have been through some kind of a tool before in their past. In many cases, they've been through a personality test. And the reality is that there's an entire...
Very common.
Yeah. There's an entire spectrum of tools from what I call common personality tests. They're very fast. They're very simple. They're good for basic awareness with an existing team. But they're not useful for in-depth coaching. They're not valid for hiring. I can't use it for a key hiring situation or promotion. So they are what they are. As we move along the spectrum, you get tools that are more in-depth. They're looking at additional parts of the individual, all the way to the other end of this spectrum that I call professional level tools, where are looking at things like the person's thinking style, their behavior traits, their occupational interests. And these are tools that are designed to measure the total person and are validated for use in the hiring process. And so that's part of the thing that I help clients understand on the people side is what's the right kind of assessment tool you need for the situation? Are you doing a team situation? Do you need to measure how people deal with conflict? Are you in a hiring situation? Are you in a basic communications awareness exercise? There's all kinds of different tools.
Love it.
Yeah, so that's the people side. The culture side, those solutions are team experiences, leadership experiences, one-on-one coaching for leaders.
Yes.
In fact, I'll be going out to California next week, and I'll be working with a senior leadership team, and we're working on improving how they operate as a team. They've all been through in-depth individual assessments, so they understand their strengths better.
Right.
And when those same strengths are watch-outs. Here's kind of one of the things that happens. We often hear strengths, and we also think the opposite is weakness. But the reality is I use the word watch out because it's really two sides of the same coin. If I'm really good with that hammer and you got me working on nails, then I'm a superstar. But then if you slide me over to sheet glass, I got a problem.
That's true.
And I can learn how to adapt using a hammer with sheet glass, but that's a conscious adaptation that takes coaching and practice, awareness, and feedback. And that's what happens so often in organizations is that we have somebody, you're a superstar with nails, and so without warning, we switch them over to sheet glass. And then now they're struggling, and we start judging them. Wow, you used to be great. Now you stink. What's wrong with you? But that's our fault as managers because we didn't help them understand their strengths.
It's true.
We didn't plan for that future.
Been there.
Sheet glass.
That happened in my career along the way, and it was very, very frustrating. I was moved into something that I really wasn't my bailiwick. It really wasn't my strength, and that caused a great deal of frustration.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so for our listeners and watchers today, what is something that somebody can do today to get more propulsion?
Yeah. So more propulsion is, again, about making people and culture simple. On the people side, stop being desperate.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
Stop being desperate in your hiring and in your promotion and your development. Stop being desperate because managers get desperate. Oh my goodness, we're growing. Let's get people in here really fast. If they can fog a mirror, if they've got a pulse, let's get them in here, get them in here. Or sometimes managers get desperate because they have open positions and they're feeling the pull. I've got to get anybody in here because I'm having to do the work and it's pulling me down from being a manager. So I got to get people in here. So that leads us to making bad people decisions. If you make a bad people decision, guess what? That's going to make you less confident in them, and it's going to make you you're going to tend to start viewing them like, well, I'm not sure if they're the right person. I better micromanage them. I better control them.
Yes.
I better start treating them like an idiot and a prisoner. So stop being desperate and make better people decisions. Use objective data tools. Use all your resources.
They can start today on those.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How long to really see meaningful propulsion? How long? What's the timeline on something like that?
You can start today, and at the end of today, you could have a huge difference if you've made a better people decision today. And if you've chosen today, I'm not going to treat my people like idiots. I'm going to engage them as partners. And what that often means, managers have a tendency to micromanage because they're good at lifting the weight. Okay, I'll lift it for you. I'll lift it for you. Well, the problem is your job as a manager or a leader is to strengthen the muscles of other people. Your job every day is to strengthen their muscles, not to lift the weight for them. So if you start viewing yourself as my role as a coach is to strengthen my people's muscles every day. So now I'm choosing the right people. Now I'm strengthening their muscles every day. I'm engaging them as partners.
And you're getting that muscle memory.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love muscle memory.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are saying, how do I get started working with you? What is the best way for someone to get started working with you?
Yeah, the best way is to have a conversation because the question is, where's the right way? Do we want to start on the people side? With many organizations, we start on the people side so we can help you make better people decisions. We start teaching your leaders how to use objective data tools so they make better people decisions. Very quickly then, we move on to, okay, let's start improving how we operate as a team. Let's start improving how leaders have a common view of leadership, which is, again, engaging people like partners.
Love it. Love it. All right. Talk to me about your book that's going to be coming up. It's about propulsion, of course, and making people and culture simple. It's coming out the second quarter of this year. Yeah. Talk to me about that book.
Yeah, the propulsion effect is what we're calling it currently. Because, again, like I said, you don't install propulsion. It's the effect. It's this special kind of momentum that comes when we make people and culture simple. And what happens is that we move from chaos to champions. Many organizations, they don't choose people wisely, and they treat them like idiots and prisoners, and that's how you get in a situation of chaos where you're wasting a lot of resources. You may be doing okay, but you're not going to beat your competitors. You're not going to be the innovator in your space if you're in that chaos place where you're wasting a lot of resources. That's why when you think about examples of organizations like champions, like the Southwest Airlines we mentioned, like Google, like Morningstar Farms in produce,
Yes.
like Zappos in shoes.
Yes.
Zappos is a great example. Their ideas aren't that amazing. There's plenty of people selling shoes. They don't work harder than others. Everybody works hard, but they have a unique brand of propulsion because they choose people very carefully and they create this amazing culture. Zappos is really known for creating a great culture, and they've got a lot of propulsion.
And then it just builds and builds and builds and it goes from there.
And it just builds. And so the way to get started with me, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about where you want to go. Do you really want a lot more propulsion? Do you want to be an innovator in your space? Do you want to really get moving as an organization? And then let's start helping you make people and culture simple.
I love it. You make it so simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. I also understand that you are going to be doing your 4th year. You mentioned this earlier, but you're going to be doing your 4th year with the Harvard Business School Leadership Summit Program with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah, I love that organization. And yeah, we've done it now for 3 years where I've had the opportunity to partner with Harvard Business School. And so roughly 60 leaders, they get to go to a customized week-long experience at Harvard Business School. I put them through a couple of professional level assessment tools, and then I do one-on-one coaching with them so that they really start moving the needle over the course of an entire year. Whereas a lot of times you'll send leaders to a week-long experience. They love it. It's great. And they come back and, the momentum starts to dwindle.
Goes back
and
to
so
the way it was.
this is a year-long process that includes helping them understand their strengths and watch-outs better, helping them to begin to engage people as partners. And so
I love that.
Yeah.
Back in my early years, I would give my right arm to do something like that. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Well,
that's exciting.
Well, let's keep talking. We'll do something.
Okay, so if our audience wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah.
What's your contact information, Mr. Chris? For those that are not watching,
sure.
Start with website.
Yeah, well, a lot of people connect with me on LinkedIn. So Chris Price, we make people and culture simple. It's a great way to find me. And then my website is priceleadershipgroup.com. And you can reach me at chris.price@priceleadershipgroup.com. And you can also reach me by phone at 214-810-1186. And love to hear from people, even with questions about people and culture. How do you make it simple? And let's start a conversation, because that's how all of my partnerships with organizations start. Is let's have a conversation.
It gets down to the conversation, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Always does.
Yeah.
Always does. So I know that we've got your contact information up there again, 214-810-1186. Start that conversation with Chris. Okay, Mr. Chris, as is the tradition on this show, what are the last words or what are the last thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with today?
You bet.
What's really important? What can they take back with them after the end of the show from your words of wisdom?
Yeah, thanks, Betty. If you want more propulsion in your organization, and I don't care what kind of organization it is, your family, your team, your organization, even your government agency, if you want more propulsion, make people and culture simple. And what that means is start choosing the right people, start engaging them as partners, and you will have propulsion. It will come. You got to believe it's going to come, and it will come.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Betty.
Yeah, it's been so much fun to have you as a guest. I love the energy. And oh my gosh, if you haven't picked up on the passion that Chris has for what he does, it's truly, truly there. That's why he's so successful. Yeah. And thank you for being with us today. It's been wonderful seeing you today. I can see each of you. And remember, it's all about you. It's all about powering up to be better, to be faster, to be stronger. Thank you. See you next week. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for listening to Power Up with NSA North Texas. To find out more about today's guest or NSA North Texas, visit www.speaker.org. To find out more about Power Up, visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/groups/NSA North Texas. And to find out more about Betty, visit www.bettycoffeepresents.com.